This is the Master's Harvest, video number 4, Second Esdras verse mappings. Today is January 13, 2024. I am your host, Daniel Berglund. This is a deep dive video. We will cover 2nd Esdras chapter 11 verse 1 through chapter 12 verse 34. I will make the case that this scripture refers to a line of American presidents from Herbert Hoover through Donald Trump. I have created 4 documents for this study. Links to these documents are available in the description box below. The first document is 2 Esdras verses. It is the 2nd Esdras verses from chapter 11 verse 1 through chapter 12 verse 34. The second document is 2 Esdras verse mappings. It matches verse references with interpretations. The third document is 2 Esdras verses integrated. In this case, the scripture is interwoven with the interpretations. The fourth document is presentation notes. It's the same as the previous document, but my presentation notes have been added. We'll spend most of our time here. Let's begin. 2 Esdras chapter 11 verse 1 through chapter 12 verse 34, integrated with mappings and presentation notes. Note: mappings are in capital letters and enclosed in parentheses. Note: presentation notes are enclosed in square brackets. The vision of the eagle. Chapter 11 verse 1. On the second night I had a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, that is, the fourth beast empire, that had 12 feathered wings. Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton, and 3 heads, Russia, USA, and China. And I looked, and behold, he, the fourth beast empire, spread his wings over all the earth, and all the winds of heaven blew upon him, and the clouds were gathered about him. And I looked, and out of his wings there grew opposing wings, Bush Jr., Gore, Kerry, Obama, Romney, McCain, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton, but they became little, puny wings. This is the list of presidential candidates after President Clinton. Verse 11 will show us that there are 8 of them. The list does not include Trump. Trump is not a little wing. 4. But his heads, Russia, USA, and China, were at rest. The middle head, that is the USA, was larger than the other heads, Russia and China, but it also was at rest with them. And I looked, and behold, the eagle, that is the fourth beast empire, flew with his wings to reign over the earth and over those who dwell in it. And I saw how all things under heaven were subjected to him, that is the fourth beast empire, and no one spoke against him, not even one creature that was on the earth. And I looked, and behold, the eagle, that is the fourth beast empire, rose upon his talons and uttered a cry to his wings. Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama, saying, "Do not all watch at the same time. Let each sleep in his own place, and watch in his turn, but let the heads, that is Russia, USA, China, be reserved for the last." This is the list of 12 wings, plus 2 of the little wings. The list does not include Trump. Trump is not a wing. Trump is not a little wing. Verse 10. And I looked, and behold, the voice did not come from his heads, but from the midst of his body. And I counted his opposing wings, and behold, there were 8 of them, Bush Jr., Gore, Kerry, Obama, Romney, McCain, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton. And I looked, and behold, on the right side 1 wing, Hoover, arose, and it reigned over all the earth. And while it was reigning, it came to its end and disappeared, so that its place was not seen. Then the next wing, FDR, arose and reigned, and it continued to reign for a long time. And while it was reigning, its end also came, so that it disappeared like the first. Hoover. 15. And behold, a voice sounded saying to it, that is, FDR, Hear me, you who have ruled the earth all this time. I announce this to you before you disappear. After you, FDR, no one shall rule as long as you, or even half as long. 18. Then the third wing, Truman, raised itself up and held the rule like the former ones, and it also disappeared. And so it went with all the wings, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton. They wielded power one after another, and then were never seen again. And I looked, and behold, in due course, the wings that followed, Bush Jr., Gore, Kerry, Obama, Romney, McCain, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton also rose up on the right side in order to rule. There were some of them that ruled, Bush Jr. and Obama, yet disappeared suddenly, and others of them, Gore, Kerry, Romney, McCain, Sanders, H.R. Clinton, rose up but did not hold the rule. 22. And after this I looked, and behold, the wings, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton, and the two little wings, Romney and McCain, disappeared, and nothing remained on the eagle's body except the three heads, Russia, USA, China, that were at rest, and six little wings, Bush Jr., Gore, Kerry, Obama, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton. And I looked, and behold, two little wings, Bush Jr. and Obama, separated from the six and remained under the head that was on the right side. But four, Gore, Kerry, Sanders, H.R. Clinton, remained in their place. 25. And I looked, and behold, these little wings, Gore, Kerry, Sanders, and Clinton, planned to set themselves up and hold the rule. And I looked, and behold, one, Gore, was set up but suddenly disappeared. A second, Kerry, also, and this disappeared more quickly than the first. And I looked, and behold, the two that remained, Sanders and H.R. Clinton, were planning between themselves to reign. And while they were planning, behold, one of the heads, USA/Trump, that were at rest, the one which was in the middle, awoke, for it was greater than the other two heads, Russia, China. And I saw how it allied the two heads, Russia, China, with itself, USA/Trump. And behold, the head turned with those that were with it, and it devoured the two little wings, Sanders and H.R. Clinton, which were planning to reign. Moreover, this head, the USA, gained control of the whole earth, and with much oppression dominated its inhabitants, and it had greater power over the world than all the wings that had gone before, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama. Now we'll do an analysis of verses 22 to 32 in order to determine exactly who the little wings are. It's important to note that 2nd Esdras does not present the stories of the 8 little wings in chronological order. Start with verses 26 and 27. Both little wings disappeared, indicating that they represented losers. In verse 26, Gore lost the 2000 presidential race to Bush Jr. after a recount that lasted several weeks. In verse 27, Kerry lost the 2004 presidential race to Bush Jr., and in the 2004 presidential race there was no recount, so Kerry disappeared more quickly than Gore. There are now 6 little wings left to consider. In verse 22, the 2 little wings disappeared. In verse 31, 2 little wings were devoured. In verse 24, 2 little wings remained under the head that was on the right side. The 2 little wings from verse 24 must be the winners, Bush Jr. and Obama. They neither disappeared nor were they devoured. They remained. There are now 4 little wings left to consider. They are Romney, McCain, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton. Romney and McCain were both defeated by Obama. Later, in 2016, Sanders and H.R. Clinton were defeated by Trump. In verse 29, the middle eagle head awoke. The middle eagle head represents Trump. So, in verse 31, Trump devoured the two little wings, Sanders and H.R. Clinton. There are now two little wings left to consider, Romney and McCain. By default, they are the two little wings who disappeared in verse 22. Back to Scripture, verse 33. And after this I looked, and behold, the middle head, USA, also suddenly disappeared, just as the wings had done. But the two heads, Russia and China, remained, which also ruled over the earth and its inhabitants. And I looked, and behold, the head on the right side, China, devoured the one on the left, Russia. A lion roused from the forest. 36. Then I heard a voice saying to me, Look before you and consider what you see. And I looked, and behold, a creature like a lion, Jesus the Christ, was roused out of the forest, roaring, and I heard how he uttered a man's voice to the eagle, the fourth beast empire, and spoke, saying, Listen, and I will speak to you. The Most High says to you, Are you not the one that remains of the four beasts, referring to Daniel 7, verse 1 and forward, which I made to reign in my world, so that the end of my times might come through them? You, the fourth that has come, have conquered all the beasts that have gone before, and you have held sway over the world with much terror, and over all the earth with grievous oppression. And for so long have you dwelt on the earth with deceit, and you have judged the earth, but not with truth. For you have afflicted the meek and injured the peaceable. You have hated those who tell the truth, and have loved liars. You have destroyed the dwellings of those who brought forth fruit, and have laid low the walls of those who did you no harm. And so your insolence has come up before the Most High, and your pride to the Mighty One. And the Most High has looked upon his times, and behold, they are ended, and his ages are completed. Therefore you, fourth beast empire, will surely disappear, you, eagle, and your terrifying wings, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Sr., Clinton, and your most evil little wings, Bush, Jr., Gore, Kerry, Obama, Romney, McCain, Sanders, and H.R. Clinton, and your malicious heads, Russia, USA, China, and your most evil talons, and your whole worthless body, the fourth beast empire, so that the whole earth, freed from your violence, may be refreshed and relieved, and may hope for the judgment and mercy of him, Jesus the Christ, who made it. 12. While the lion, Jesus the Christ, was saying these words to the eagle, the fourth beast empire, I looked, and behold, the remaining head, China, disappeared. And the two little wings that had gone over to it, Bush Jr. and Obama, arose and set themselves up to reign, and their reign was brief and full of tumult. And I looked, and behold, they, that is Bush Jr. and Obama, also disappeared, and the whole body of the eagle, fourth beast empire, was burned, and the earth was exceedingly terrified. Then I awoke in great perplexity of mind and great fear, and I said to my spirit, Behold, you have brought this upon me, because you search out the ways of the Most High. Behold, I am still weary in mind, and very weak in my spirit, and not even a little strength is left to me, because of the great fear with which I have been terrified this night. Therefore I will now beseech the Most High, that he may strengthen me to the end. The interpretation of the vision. 7. And I said, O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in thy sight, and if I have been accounted righteous before thee beyond many others, and if my prayer has indeed come up before thy face, strengthen me and show me, thy servant, the interpretation and meaning of this terrifying vision, that thou mayest fully comfort my soul, for thou hast judged me worthy to be shown the end of the times and the last events of the times. 10. He said to me, This is the interpretation of this vision which you have seen. The eagle, the fourth beast empire, which you saw coming up from the sea, is the fourth kingdom which appeared in a vision to your brother Daniel. Refer to Daniel chapter 7 verse 3 and Daniel chapter 7 verse 7 and forward. 12. But it was not explained to him as I now explain or have explained it to you, Behold, the days are coming when a kingdom, the USA, will arise on earth, and it shall be more terrifying than all the kingdoms that have been before it. And 12 kings, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton, shall reign in it, one after another. But the second that is to reign, that is FDR, shall hold sway for a longer time than any of the other 12, Hoover, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton. 16. This is the interpretation of the 12 wings, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton, which you saw. 17. As for your hearing a voice that spoke, coming not from the eagle's heads, but from the midst of its body, this is the interpretation. In the midst of the time of that kingdom great struggles shall arise, and it shall be in danger of falling. Nevertheless it shall not fall then, but shall regain its former power. As for your seeing 8 little wings clinging to his wings, this is the interpretation. 8 kings, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, and Trump shall rise in it, whose times shall be short and their years swift. And 2 of them, Reagan and Ford, shall perish when the middle of its time draws near. And 4, Carter, Bush Sr., Clinton, and Trump, shall be kept for a time when its end approaches. But 2, Bush Jr., Obama, shall be kept until the end. As for your seeing 3 heads at rest, Russia, USA, China, this is the interpretation. In its last days, the Most High will raise up 3 kings, Russia, Putin, USA, Trump, China, Xi Jinping, and they shall renew many things, and shall rule the earth and its inhabitants more oppressively than all who were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle. For it is they who shall sum up his wickedness and perform his last actions. As for seeing that the large head disappeared, that is USA or Trump, one of the kings, Russia, Putin, USA, Trump, or China, Xi Jinping, shall die in bed but in agonies. But as for the 2 who remained, Russia and China, the sword shall devour them. For the sword of one, China, shall devour him, Russia, who was with him. But he also shall fall by the sword in the last days. As for you seeing 2 little wings, Bush Jr. and Obama, passing over to the head which was on the right side, China, this is the interpretation. It is these, Bush Jr. and Obama, whom the Most High has kept for the eagles, that is the 4th beast empire's end. This was the reign which was brief and full of tumult, as you have seen. Verse 31. And as for the lion, Jesus the Christ, whom you saw rousing up out of the forest and roaring and speaking to the eagle, the 4th beast empire, and reproving him for his unrighteousness, and as for all his words that you have heard, this is the Messiah whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will arise from the posterity of David, and will come and speak to them, the 4th beast empire. He will denounce them for their ungodliness and for their wickedness, and will cast up before them their contemptuous dealings. For first he will set them, the 4th beast empire, living before his judgment seat, and when he has reproved them, then he will destroy them. But he, Jesus the Christ, will deliver in mercy the remnant of my people, those who have been saved throughout my borders, and he will make them joyful until the end comes, the day of judgment, of which I spoke to you at the beginning. That brings us to the end of today's study. Until we meet again, blessings to you and your loved ones.